All right, so you got a good deal on corned beef because it's St. Patrick's Day, but what are we gonna do with all this? I'm gonna show you how we can turn this corned beef into the best pastrami you've ever had. It might even be better than Kat's. I'm gonna show you a foolproof method on how I make pastrami, show you how to select the best cut of corned beef. We're gonna put together an insanely good rub, and all this will probably cost you about the price of one pastrami sandwich, which isn't very cheap anymore.
First, let's talk about picking the right cut, because not all corned beef is created equal, and if you grab the wrong one, your pastrami could end up dry, tough, or just impossible to slice properly. You're gonna see two main cuts in the store, flat cut and the point cut. Honestly, either one is going to work, it just depends on what kind of pastrami experience you're looking for. If you want something closer to that classic Kat's Deli style pastrami, you're gonna wanna go for the flat cut. It's leaner and slices beautifully into those thin stackable layers. And if you're a man after my own heart and you're looking for something more like a burger joint pastrami sandwich, then the point cut is your friend. It's got more fat, which means extra flavor, and it tends to be a little more melt in your mouth juicy. The trade-off, it's not as easy to It's not as easy to slice thinly, and the shape can be a little unpredictable. And then sometimes you'll see a bottom round labeled as corned beef. Do not buy this. It's a completely different cut of beef and is just too lean to make pastrami out of. All right, now that we got the right cut, let's get things prepped. First, we need to soak this corned beef. Just submerge it in cold water and let it sit in the fridge overnight. Nothing crazy, just let the water do its thing and pull out the excess salt. Now, before we call it a night, let's get the pastrami rub ready. This rub is what gives the pastrami that bold, peppery crust. We're talking coarse black pepper, coriander, smoked paprika, granulated garlic, onion powder, and a little ground mustard. Now, if you want to save a few bucks, grind your own spices when possible. Not only is it cheaper, but it also packs way more flavor than the pre-ground stuff. I like using a coffee grinder to get this done. One quick note about the pepper. Just like with brisket, you want a consistent grind. You see the difference? The 25 mesh pepper is perfectly consistent and is going to give you that perfect bark, while the coffee ground is inconsistent, powdery, and all over the place. It's going to give you a kicked up bark, and ain't nobody got time for that. Shake it all together and set it aside for now. All right, now that the corned beef is at a nice soak, we're going to get it ready for the smoker. Pull it from the water and then pat it dry with some paper towels. Then we're going to give it a thin coat of mustard, not for flavor. This acts as a binder to help our rub stick, and then we can go heavy with that pastrami rub, making every inch of that meat covered. Think of it as sunscreen for your pastrami. You don't want to miss a spot.
This is already starting to smell like pastrami. I'm so excited to cook this. If you want, you can let this sit for another day in the fridge uncovered to help dry it out to let the crust set a little bit more. But this already smells like pastrami and I can't wait to get cooking. So we're gonna go ahead and throw this in the smoker now.
Now we're gonna bring it out to the smoker, set it to 225 degrees Fahrenheit, and we're gonna let it roll for about 6 hours or until the internal temp hits about 160 Fahrenheit. For wood, you can go with post oak, hickory, or cherry. Those all work great, and whatever you do, don't keep peeking, because every time you open that lid, you're letting a little heat out and slowing everything down. Once it hits temp, we're gonna pull it off, wrap it loosely with foil, and let it chill in the fridge overnight. This lets the meat rest, reabsorb its juices, and allows the smoke and spices to settle in. Chilling it will also help control the texture during steaming, ensuring that it comes out perfectly tender without overcooking.
One day later.
Now that our pastrami has set overnight, it's time to steam it. And if you've ever had chewy, dry pastrami, chances are it wasn't steamed. And that's a shame because steaming is what makes pastrami, well, you've guessed it, pastrami. Just use a roasting pan and fill it up with some water and throw it in the oven with your pastrami and bake at the oven at 275 until the internal temp hits about 205, which should be about 2 hours.
2 hours later.
Once it's rested long enough that it's cool enough to handle, we can finally slice our pastrami. Make sure you go against the grain when slicing. That's what's gonna give you that classic deli style bite. If you're unsure about which way the grain runs, you can take a slice off the edge and take a peek. Now, if you're working with a flat, you should get those clean, uniform slices, great for sandwiches and presentation. Similar to what you would see to that classic Kat's style pastrami. Now with the point, expect it to be a little more rustic, less perfect slices, but packed with rich, fatty flavor that's incredible in a sandwich or just snacked on over the board. And while a pastrami sandwich is always a win, my family and I love having pastrami top bowls. I throw some frozen tater tots in the air fryer, then top them with shredded cheese, sauerkraut, and sliced pastrami. It's smoky, tangy, cheesy, total comfort food, and honestly, it's kind of addictive. And that's it, homemade pastrami that's smoky, tender, and packed with flavor. Way better than anything you'll find at the store, and honestly, it's not that hard to make, just takes a little time. If this helped you out, hit that subscribe button. I've got plenty more ways to take your home cooking to the next level. Now go make some pastrami. And if you do, drop a comment and let me know how it turned out.